The UFC is back in Atlanta for the first time in almost 3 years. It's UFC 236. History will be made. First time ever, 2 interim title fights on the same card. Co-main event, Israel Adesanya against Kelvin Gastelum for the interim middleweight title. And then, of course, the main event, Dustin Poirier versus Max Holloway for the interim lightweight title. Both interesting fights, both fun fights. Which one are you more looking forward to?
Man, that's a tough question to answer. But I think I have to go with the main event, knowing that just the run that Max has been on and how he's really kind of separated himself as maybe one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world and sort of looming in the future as a potential fight with Khabib. I mean, we're always looking too far ahead in this sport, and it's something that we got to get away from, but sometimes it's impossible not to. And when you're thinking, like, man, if this could set up a fight between Max Holloway and Khabib Nurmagomedov, I mean, it's just an added little, sprinkle on top of already a great fight. So I think I got to go with the main event.
And, of course, the introduction of interim titles has been a controversial topic in this sport, but I feel that these 2 interim title fights, dare I say, are 2 of the more legitimate ones because of the circumstances, because Khabib is out serving that suspension, because Whittaker just had that surgery. Do you agree?
1,000%. If you look back over the last 2.5 years, how many lightweight title fights have we had? Just based on the Conor McGregor situation and now Khabib immediately getting suspended. I want to see this division move, and I know that all the fighters in it want to see it move. And these guys deserve it. I mean, is there anybody more deserving of a title shot than Dustin Poirier? You can't give this guy another non-title fight, but you don't want to strip Khabib immediately. I get that. So make an interim title. I know in this sport it's kind of taboo. No one likes to talk about interim titles. We're sick of them for good reason, but I think that they make perfect sense in this case.
So back in February of 2012, a young Max Holloway made his UFC debut against Dustin Poirier. He lost that fight. Will the same happen on Saturday?
Do they say that the original is always better than the sequel? That's something
usually,
they say, right?
Usually, yes.
I don't think that's going to be true of this one.
I agree.
I think that the sequel is going to be an outstanding fight. It's a hard fight to predict. I could see it going the distance, even as dangerous as both of these guys are. The skill sets are one thing. The mindsets that both these guys are coming in with right now is just on another level. And you know as well as I do, when you get 2 guys who are ultra talented, ultra skilled, but then they both come in just feeling like they're champions, you're in for a special fight. And Dustin Poirier, if you've seen him at all this week, this guy's walking around like he's already won the fight. And we know that Max Holloway does that already. So it's an amazing matchup at 155.
If you're UFC middleweight champion Robert Whittaker, who's hoping to return this summer, who are you hoping wins on Saturday? Israel Adesanya of New Zealand or Kelvin Gastelum, who you were supposed to fight back in February?
Well, if I'm Robert Whittaker, I don't think I care about such things, just because that's not really my style.
Sure.
I'm an OG. I just care about myself.
Right.
But if it's me in his spot, of course, you're hoping that Israel Adesanya wins. And not because, Kelvin Gastelum isn't a challenge or even because, people don't find him interesting or want to watch him fight, but New Zealand versus Australia.
Huge.
The undefeated Israel Adesanya, who's been blowing away the competition and blowing away just the division and blowing people's minds. He's coming off the Anderson Silva fight. That is sort of a super fight, if you will, at middleweight. But, hey, Kelvin Gastelum is going to have something to say about it.
Other interesting fights on this card. I mean, there are a ton of interesting names. Dwight Grant, Alan Jouban, Nikita Krylov, OSP, Eric Anders, Khalil Rountree. Is there any other fight on this card that you're really looking forward to?
Yeah, I like that welterweight fight between Zaleem Amadeev and Max Griffin. Zaleem Amadeev is a guy who's undefeated as well. A lot of knockout power. And actually, when I saw Zaleem Amadeev in Las Vegas, guess who was on the mat with him? Max Griffin.
Really?
These two are familiar with one another.
Yes.
Yeah, before the fight was booked, they did a few rounds together. So I like that. When a guy's coming in the UFC for the first time, you got a veteran there in Max Griffin, and they know one another. That makes it a little more fun to me.
And I do believe there's some bad blood between them now, so curious to see how that plays out on Saturday. Last time the UFC was here in Atlanta, Tyron Woodley became the UFC welterweight champion, knocking out Robbie Lawler. On Saturday, we'll have 2 new champions, interim champions, but 2 new champions coming this Saturday from here in the ATL.